Welcome back to the 12th episode of the Dear Young Men podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about how internet marketers are all scams, every single last one of them, how the experts tell us not to worry about our children's screen time, but I definitely disagree with that, and finally, 3 pieces of advice that I wish I knew 10 years ago on Dear Young Men. There is this uniquely popular thing that has arisen on the internet called an internet marketer, internet guru. They're all scams, and I just want to talk about it because I think it's something that they keep existing, which means it keeps working, and hopefully somebody listening to this will stop pursuing those because they're all scams. I want to go over all the information that I know about them, and hopefully I can help you realize that maybe if you're in the middle of this or if you're thinking about doing this, that it's bad and that they're just trying to take as much money as they possibly can from you. So the business model is pretty simple for them. It's create content focused around money. So whether that be like search-based how-to videos or how I did something videos. So these would be the how to make $10,000 in one day or how to make $10,000 in 1 week or how I made my first 6-figure salary in 1 year. These types of very clickbait. Typically, it's not the more reasonable, like how I got my first job with decent benefits making $56,000 a year and what I do with the extra money. It's nothing like that. It's always these grandiose ideas. They tell you these theories about doing things that they've never actually personally done. Just like, oh, I saw somebody else talk about this, so I'm going to talk about it. That's what I think you should do to make money. And I'm just going to do math and show you how it can work. If you buy something for $100 and sell it for $1,000, that's $900 profit every single day. If you do that for a week, that's $6,300. If you do that for a year, that's over $300,000. That's what these people do. They don't say anything. They just say, well, if you did this one thing one time and you just did that multiplied by 365, then you're good, which is obviously unrealistic. Next, sometimes they actually have made money doing something else, and so there could be technical value if you want to repeat that thing. But my guess is the reason that they're telling you how they did it is because that thing is no longer that profitable to them. So they're trying to leverage the fact that they did that one time, and they're going to move that into something where they teach courses and do that. So it's more profitable for them to teach you how to do something than it is for them to actually do it themselves because they could scale the digital products a lot more. Next is build an audience and build trust. So over the course of a year or two, you're going to actually try to build a real audience of people who actually trust you and who rely on you and depend on you and who are actually trying to implement some of the things that you talk about, even if they're just theories and you actually have never done it before. That's what you're going to do. You're going to build an audience and you're going to build trust with these people because the more trust you can build and the larger the audience, the more people that will be willing to pay for the course, which is always the end product here. Next, now that you have an audience, it's time to monetize. So this could just be like pretty basic, selling them some type of like free ebook or not. It's like a free seminar type thing just to get their emails, get their foot in the door so they can sort of trust you. You've given them some good information. Yeah, definitely stuff they could have found at other places because that's where you learned it. But you gave them some decent information, so they still trust you. So that's now that you have this audience, you're going to start to monetize it. What I've seen a lot of them do, and in my research here, what they do is they offer you a free something. So it's a free ebook, a free webinar, a free pamphlet, whatever it is. They give you something for free. It's just like a bunch of BS probably written by AI anyways, but it's something for free just to get your foot in the door because they want to get your name, they want to get your email, they sort of want to get your demographics in a way, they want to figure out who you are because once they have your email, then they'll be able to suck you in with glorified email marketing and the subjects that say, this guy went from following my method. He went from making $10 a day at McDonald's to a multi-millionaire. Here's how he did it. So that's what they're going to do. And they're going to start by just giving you something for free. They all do this. Every single last one of them will give you something for free. Next, now that they've given you something for free, what they're going to do now is they're going to prove their lifestyle. So before they were sort of just doing theoretical type stuff, maybe in their apartment, maybe in their living room, maybe in their bedroom, whatever it is, they're just sort of doing what I'm doing here, just talking to you, normal setting. I mean, obviously they're not as handsome or as brilliant as I am or as morally incorruptible as me, but not everybody is as special as me. I'm literally amazing. These people obviously have no morals. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And they serve something that is pure evil, in my opinion, at the end of the day. But what they're going to do now is they're going to rent a really fancy car for about a day, and they're going to rent a really nice mansion. So they're going to sort of put a lot of money into this, maybe $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 just for one day of shooting. They're going to bring every single article of clothing that they own. They're going to change their pants. They're going to change their t-shirts, and they're going to film every single bit of content that you will see for the next year. That's how they're going to do it. And I don't want you to take this as a method for you to do it. So don't you dare turn around and tell. I'm exposing how they do it, not so you know how to do it, but so that you know to stay away from it, because it's evil. And I believe that when I finish, you will agree with me and you will not use this as a template. So once they film all the content, now they have the proof, because you can't really prove anything. It's hard to prove ideas on the internet in a genuine way without sort of a long period of exposure. I've talked about this in my podcast, but I am trying to, I speak about these things, and I'm also trying to live into these ideas, because the body of work of me living into these ideas for long enough will prove that my ideas are good. And that's like really hard to do, because I'm asking you and telling you to do things that are difficult. So I'm trying to live into those ideas because I believe in those ideas, which is why I'm talking about them. But it's hard. I can't prove it yet. I'm living into them. You will see the body of work, and you're just going to have to sort of trust that I'm doing it all along the way, which is why I love having the podcast and also my main channel, Scott Schroeder, where I track this progress. And you can see it like in a very physical, like you could see it every single week. There's a new video posted about progress. I'm doing a 60-day body transformation challenge, and it's going really well. But that's the proof. It's like every single week there's a new video updating you on the last 7 days of my body transformation. And I posted on Monday and I finished editing it on Sunday, and Sunday's the last day of filming. On day 22, you will watch the video, and for me, and it'll look like you're watching day 21. So I'm literally just barely 1 day ahead. But I like that because I think that in a way puts pressure on me, which is good. And I need that pressure sometimes, because pressure creates diamonds, baby. But another way, I think it's a lot easier for people, because if they are trying to do it and they're trying to live into those ideas that I'm putting across, they can do it with me. Next, bring several changes of clothing. And now that they finished all of the filming, they're going to use this and run advertisements on it and send it to people and try to get people to sign up and get them into the course, because they're selling them a lifestyle, they're selling them an idea that they actually haven't personally achieved yet, but they will. Because once you, I have here, offer them a free cohort. That's sort of like the same thing. But yeah, offer them a free something, a free Discord, free cohort. I'm offering you value. It's not value. It's just junk. They're just trying to get you in the door. That way you begin to trust them. You build a community, and then they say, pay for this community. If you want to stay part of the community, pay for this community. And then once you have all that information, they trust you, you have the audience, you have the flashy lifestyle shown off, then you hit them with the upsell. They're already invested. Now it's time to make some cash. So this is where you drop your course. Charge them an amount of money that is really, really high, but enough to where most people's credit card max can cover it pretty easily. So you don't want to charge $100 because they won't think that there's a lot of value there. You don't want to really even charge them $1,000 because that might not be enough value. You want to charge them like $19.97, maybe $300 off, $400 off, $500 off. And this is where you make a ton of money, and then you actually get to live the lifestyle that you said you were living by doing this thing that you don't do. So there are endless examples of this. There are millions of people who have done this. It seems like there are some more famous examples like Iman Gadzhi and Grant Cardone. The list is like endless, though. There are so many people who just do this. This is like the business model going into YouTube. YouTube, in my opinion, it's wonderful. It's like the coolest platform ever. Like I have done so many things around my house. I have these lights behind me I installed myself because I watched a YouTube video from an electrician showing me how to run these and how to run the electrical to the box. YouTube is incredible. There's so much decentralized information. And I've talked about this, how we sort of whiffed on the internet. It could have been the Library of Alexandria to the power of 1,000. Unfortunately, it sort of turned out to not be that. But there actually still is a ton of good information on the internet. It's just not solely good. It's because we're human and we control it and we're in charge of it. It sort of became bad. But anyways, so before I continue diving into this, I want to say that the idea of, I'm not saying that the only way you can learn is by just watching free YouTube videos or reading books, like you have to go to college. I'm not saying that. I actually don't hate the idea of decentralized knowledge. I like the idea of people, instead of spending $150,000 on college and student loans, if they were to spend that money and they were to start a business with it instead. Like I get that that's a better idea in some sense for some people, not for everybody, obviously. And so I think that like there's a place for these types of courses. Actually, I actually like the idea of the course, but it like the masterclass. I don't know if you ever had masterclass, but even in masterclass, I was given it for free, access to it for free. And I watched Steph Curry at a masterclass, and he went through all the basics and whatnot. And he doesn't actually do most of the things that he says he does. The way he actually shoots, the way his feet were lined up, he said, well, you shoot like this. Everything lined up to the hoop. But if you actually watch him, that's not how he shoots. He tries to get his feet square, but he doesn't all the time. He gets his upper body square, but like he doesn't actually live what he preaches because he's just an athlete that's practiced a million times. So there are places for these masterclass type things, decentralized knowledge, but I just don't know. We haven't figured it out yet in a way that I believe is, oh yeah, go to that. That's great. I'm sure there are some things I've heard of brilliant. Apparently that's pretty good. I've never done anything with it, but again, I don't know anything that is really good. I just know of a lot of bad things. What I do hate though is the idea that somebody's selling dreams. So that's what these people are selling. They are selling a lifestyle, a dream, the idea that you can make this much money online by doing this thing. And it's not a proven model because they themselves who are teaching it, they haven't done it. None of them have. Maybe if they did it, they might have done it a little bit, but they realized their real money is in teaching. I've talked about this a lot. It's the people who made the money during the gold rush were not the people mining gold. It was the people selling the shovels. That's what happened. That's what the internet marketer is. That's what the internet scammer is. They're selling ideas. They're selling dreams. And I don't like that. I think that is almost inherently evil, selling a dream, because you can never be blamed if they don't succeed. They pay you a bunch of money and then they don't succeed. And you can never take blame because what you're offering up is kind of not a 1 in a million, but a very, very low percentage chance of success. And that's what I don't like, is because they're selling dreams and they're selling it as, oh, it's easy. If you buy my course, you will get rich. So for a lot of people, they go, well, if I'm going to be worth $1 million, what's $2,000 today? And I hate that idea. And I think that it's pure evil. It's the same reason I don't like gambling. And it's why I don't play the lottery. State-sponsored gambling, the lottery, is pretty much, the government does, I think the government in itself is pretty much the only entity that can do the most evil because they control so many people. But I think the lottery is one of the most evil things that they do. They probably have more evil things that they do, but it's one of the most evil things that they do because it targets, it like exclusively almost in a way targets lower income people because it's selling them a dream, selling them a fantasy. What's $20 if you win? You'll have 200 million. Well, you won't win. That's the secret because every single person, that's the secret. Every single person is also paying $20 to try to win 200 million. That's the whole point. So they target these people who would be much better off just putting that into like some type of mutual fund like QQQ, or Fidelity's got a mutual fund, or Vanguard's got a mutual fund, whatever it is. You'd be much better off just putting it into these stocks and making dividends on it, following the market, watching it grow in a more traditional sense, as opposed to putting that $20 towards the lottery and never winning. You'll win a decent amount of money one time if you play it long enough, but then you'll always lose. So it's stupid. Playing the lottery is dumb. It's for dumb people. Don't be dumb people. You're not dumb people. You don't have to be dumb people. Dumb people choose to be dumb people, in my opinion. Don't play the lottery. It's also why I don't gamble. Gamble's so stupid. I don't understand people who gamble. I think people who gamble, I also think that they're stupid. It's different though. Gambling in a way, it does target poor people, but it also it targets, like, a lot of my friends have gotten into gambling and then they go, yeah, I lost like a lot of money, so I stopped. So it's not just lower income people. Not that my friends are all rich, but we're all like middle class. So it's like, you know what I mean? The way I think gambling targets a specific group of people, and it's bad. Like, just invest that money instead. Like, it's not fun to lose money. I don't understand gambling. I've never understood it. Every time I went to a casino, I've gone to a casino a few times with my friends, because it's kind of fun, the idea of it. You go there, you go in with like $20. That's why I always go in with like 20, 100, or 40, something like that. And I walk in, and I almost always lose it. And then I walk out and go, well, that sucked. I don't know. I'm always in there going, I don't know how anybody could get addicted to gambling. It's so stupid, especially like the slots. How could you get addicted to slots? I know how you can get addicted to slots. It's the same reason that we're addicted to our phones. It's variable, or it's intermittent rewards, basically. So every time you pull on it, you don't win every time, but that means you want to pull because you will win the next time. Like, there's always that next hit, which is why you're always looking at your phone, because there's that next notification, there's that next like, there's that next comment. You're always checking that stuff. So the variable intermittent rewards, I think it's called something like that. And finally, it's why I don't buy digital products. These courses, I think, these digital courses, they're interesting because they're infinitely scalable to the person selling it. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm not. But I think there's something about that where the you're not really worried about the quality so much as just getting the next person to sign up, because you don't have to send them a physical book or anything like that. You're just infinitely scaling it. So I'm not saying something that's scalable infinitely is evil. I just wonder, like, how much value can you actually get from that? Whereas if you were to spend $2,000 on books instead, you would probably get 20, 30, 40, 100 times more value, because each one of those books that you're buying for 10, 20 bucks, you could get 100 books are written by different people with different perspectives, different ideas, different levels of IQ. But you add that all together, and that like conglomeration of information is much greater and much more vast compared to one internet marketer scammer who drives around a Lamborghini, or he lives in a mansion, or pretends to live in a mansion, pretends to drive around a Lamborghini, but really just drives like a Honda Accord because he's poor. He will be rich though, because you're buying a stupid course. I mentioned this earlier, but I actually think that the people who do this and who follow this, their worldview are inherently flawed. And so the first one is obviously a man can only serve one master. This is obvious. This is from the Bible. No big surprise. But the idea is basically you can either serve God or you can't. If you try to serve God and money, you won't. The full quote is, no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. So basically, you either can serve God or you can't. You can serve money and you won't be serving God. So I think that their worldview is inherently flawed because they put money at the forefront of every single thing in their entire life. They worship at the altar of money. This is very materialist worldview that I've been talking about in this podcast. And I've been talking about for actually a while now. And they can only serve one master, and the master to them is money. If their ideas were so good, made so much money, then selling a course wouldn't be their business model. I understand the scalability of a course, but if they could make somebody $1 million in a year by these ideas, why wouldn't they take these same ideas and make $200 million? And the reason is because they can't. The ideas aren't that good. And they would rather do something where they can sort of leverage the fact that they've had a little bit of success, and they can sort of trickle out this information, make it look pretty, and they can get people to buy into these courses and make significantly more money than if they were just to do the thing that they're telling other people to do. I think it's inherently evil in a way to sell these dreams and sell these ideas and to lie to people. They're just lying. And I don't like that. It sucks. Not lying, you should do your best to not lie ever. I don't think I ever lie. I'm not saying I don't lie, but I really make it an effort to not lie, because there's no benefit from lying ever. Eventually the truth will always come out. Like what's the arc of justice is long, but it always bends towards truth, or whatever. The arc of whatever. That's what the Martin Luther King Jr. said. And it's true. It's like eventually the truth will come out. At the end of the day, the truth will always come out. Whether it's 5 years later, 10 years later, 100 years later. So just don't lie. Do your best to never lie. That's what you should do. You should do your best to never lie. There's also this idea of they are wolves in sheep's clothing. You see this a lot with these pastors who drive around these mega mansions. They're actually selling nothing different. Just give me money and you'll get into heaven. That type of idea. This lying, grifting, evil, pure evil. Only a purely evil person could do the things that these people are doing. So they're selling it. They're wolves in sheep's clothing. They sell you these ideas. They seem nice. They seem caring. They seem like they want to help you. They don't. They just want to make money, and they want to use you and milk their audience as much as they possibly can. And it's an evil way to view the world, because it puts things above people, and that is inherently evil, because people are better than things. That's just the way the world works. There's a really funny clip from Grant Cardone, and I will play it here.
So if you're down to your last $1,000, this offer today is $997, grantcardone.com/shark. Okay?
Yeah.
You're down, a guy's sitting there right now watching this, and I got my last grand. Should he spend it on this?
Absolutely.
I would tell you the same thing.
I'll tell you why.
In the clip, he gets asked, if you have $1,000 left, should you buy my program or should you spend it on Christmas gifts for your kids? And he says, well, buy it on my program. And so these people have lost the plot so much. They're so into themselves, and they're so into their ideas, that their ideas are so flawed that they can't even see past that initial, well, hang on a second. I mean, you believe in this so much that you think anybody who buys this will make hundreds of thousands of dollars. For one, isn't there like a certain level of competition if you were to get 100,000 people to buy into this product? Don't you think some of those people would have to like compete against each other? That's one, which yes, almost certainly. But two, don't you feel like, I'm not saying Christmas gifts are more important than investing. I'm not saying that. But don't you feel like you've lost the plot a little bit when you're putting money and hopes and dreams above your family? I'm not saying that you're not allowed to invest and maybe invest in yourself, but I'm not saying you need to get your kids Christmas gifts because you can make a case that like, well, you don't want to give them too much. But there's something evil about that worldview, right? Where you tell somebody, you manipulate somebody to think, well, I mean, yeah, your kids might need gifts for Christmas, but don't you think you should buy my course instead? It's an evil worldview, and they've just lost the plot. I think it's very anti-God, and I think Satan himself is probably like, dang, these guys are doing well. I'm really proud of you guys. So whether you believe in God or not, these guys, they're selling dreams to young men almost exclusively. And it's disgusting. Young men this podcast is called Dear Young Men. I've tried to speak to young men. I always say it's a podcast, the younger version of myself. And so I'm trying to talk through time to him, whoever he is, wherever he is. And that guy is probably interested in this because I was that guy. And I was interested in this. And you realize I never bought a course. I'm not that dumb. But I'm dumb, but I'm not that dumb. You realize the culture has taught them for years that money and sleeping with women, those are like the highest good. That's the best you can attain as a man. And it's not true. For one, that's not true. But that's what they're selling. And they're selling this idea of like, get wealthy, have women. That's why I hate it so much, is because it's targeting a group of people who are like desperate for that, because that's what they've been told in the culture. They've been beaten down for years and years and years, told that they aren't this or they aren't that. They shouldn't be this. They shouldn't be that. Don't be masculine. Don't be this. Don't be that. Your masculinity is inherently evil. So they find these people who will say, no, it's not. No, it's not. Pay me the $2,000 and I'll tell you why it's not. And I don't like that at all. Their courses are not in service to a higher good. They're not reaching towards something greater. It's like they don't talk about moving past money. I talk about money a lot, and I think money can be a great tool to have freedom, to be able to move past money. The thing is with money is you need to have some of it in order to not have to worry about it. Because it's the most important fundamental principle, basically, that we live by. Not a principle, but in the world, it's so necessary to have money. You can't do anything without cash. So that's why I talk about it, because I think it's important, but it's like, can we move past it? That's what we want to do. We want to take where we're at and move past money. So their courses are not in service to a higher good, something beyond us, beyond money, towards truth and beauty. It's none of those things. It is people taking advantage of other people. And that's just what it is. It's not beautiful. They're not creating anything. They're not creating art. They're just trying to get some guy to buy something from them, so that way that guy can then turn around and sell something to somebody else, and so on and so forth. It's not this like beautiful, oh yeah, pay me $2,000 and I'll teach you how to paint like Michelangelo. I'll teach you to paint like Picasso. No, it's just, give me some money and I'll teach you how to do, I don't know, I'll teach you how to like housing arbitrage. Just a bunch of garbage. Like it's just all junk. I can't stand any of it. And so then any success of their students have, they will take credit for it, but it's not owed to them, because the people who actually do the thing just put their head down and did the hard work. It's not the knowledge that they gained, because you just gain most of the knowledge you'll just gain from doing the thing, and then you go, this is how you do that better, this is how you do that better. These people do not have a secret pill to do anything. That's not how it works. That's why you don't go to electrician school and then the day you graduate, you say, okay, I learned everything about it in theory, and I'm going to start my own business. No, you go to train. You go on in the field. You actually meet the people. You get into the line of work, and you learn how to do the things. And then at that point, you can maybe open your own business. But these people are just like, yeah, let me teach you how to do everything, and you'll open your own business and be wildly successful. At the end of the day, you can never serve more than one master. And if you want to serve money, that's fine. But it's a life that will lead you to despair and desperation, and you will be sad, and you will be miserable. So if I ever sell a course or hopes or dreams, then I've lost my way and I've drifted too far from the person that I was made to be. And tell me that. But I know that I will never sell a course, because I am morally uncorruptible. Finally, I will leave you with this quote from the Bible from our old friend, Jesus Christ. How hard is it for those who have wealth to enter into the kingdom of God? Indeed, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is a rich man to enter into the kingdom of heaven. Having wealth is not an inherent evil. But if it is your end goal to have wealth, then you are evil, and you are serving evil, and you will never reach the kingdom of heaven. Okay, next sorry that was a long one. These internet marketers get me really upset. I think it's just pure evil. They're just a dime a dozen, and they're evil, and I can't stand them. I don't like to get mad, but I can't stand them in a lot of ways. All right, Next, I want to talk. Axios has this article called "Don't Stress About Kids' Screen Time," leading pediatrician says. Why it matters. Amid calls to ban phones for children before high school and banish them from schools, Rich aims to inject a calming voice in the debate over kids, screens, and social media. This is from the pediatrician, Dr. Michael Rich. There are a lot of people who use these tools quite effectively in many ways to do that do enhance their humanity, education, and connectedness, says Rich. So he's wrong. He's wrong, actually. I think that almost nobody does that. That's a kid, because they're kids. You learn all that stuff from doing things. You learn how to be a kid by going out, playing with other kids, arguing, bickering back and forth, figuring out the rules to the game, figuring out the rules to life. Can you push that guy? Can you not push that guy? How do you talk to this guy? How do you get him to be your friend? How do you make these people laugh? You don't do that by just being on your phone. This kind of stuff, I think, is almost as evil as the internet marketers. My wife and I were talking, and I was like, I need another idea for the podcast. The intro is going to be pretty long. The first topic I'm going to cover is going to be pretty long today because it makes me so angry, and I feel like I talk about it forever. But I need some more. And she goes, well, yesterday, she texted me this, and she says, I was at the park with the girls, and I saw a 5-year-old in a swing who was getting pushed by her mom, and the 5-year-old was watching a video on the 5-year-old's phone. That's the problem. That is a problem. And this guy, he's so, I can't stand these, like, they always talk about, oh, well, like, it's always like the extremes. It's always the very extreme. Everybody's arguments always go to the very extremes. The very extremes are 1% of every single argument, basically. But that's where every single argument always ends up going, is the very extremes. And this is no different. It's like, well, if you're just going to take away your kid's phone, some people actually use these phones quite effectively. Anyways, we'll keep going into this. PIMU, which is the problematic interactive media use, includes excessive video games, social media, scrolling, obsessive online pornography use, or information binging, surfing Reddit, YouTube, or other sites for hours to the exclusion of other activities. So he's saying that kids with ADHD can fall into these traps. And I agree, but I also disagree because I think every single person on the planet could fall into these traps, not just kids with ADHD or adults with ADHD. Everybody can fall into these traps of scrolling Reddit, excessive pornography use. Obviously, I think that's my big fight. If I win that battle, I will be the happiest guy ever if I could change just one heart of somebody who to stop watching porn. I want to get it through their head that it's so bad and so evil for them, and it's ruining their lives. And that's why I feel like I'm here to fight that. Phone use and screen usage. If you give a 5-year-old boy a phone, he will eventually wander onto porn. He just will. He just will find it. I'm not saying he wants to find it. I'm saying he just will. A 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, 12-year-old. Every single person I know saw a naked woman for the first time when they were way too young to be seeing a naked woman. They were 10 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old. They had a friend who had access to a computer, or they had a friend who had access to a phone, an iPad, whatever it is. Way too young. Kids cannot be trusted, and they cannot control themselves when it comes to that type of stuff because they get these hits of dopamine and they're not intelligent enough because they're 9 and 10 and their brains haven't fully developed in a way. And you're going to ruin the development of their brain by allowing them to watch porn in the first place. But you give them access to this stuff, they can't control it because they can't think like we can think. They're not 25 and beyond. They're not 22. They can't think. They don't know how to think yet. They don't know this is bad for them. They just know that it feels good. And they've typically lived in their lives where going down the slide feels good, crawling on the monkey bars, running, that stuff feels good. So they do it. And then they find this other thing that feels good and they go, well, I must be allowed to do this. And even adults struggle with this too. So I'm not just blaming kids, but kids themselves are incredibly susceptible to this stuff. And I think that we as adults, we need to be able to say like, no phones, no screens, no anything. This is ultimately the worst part of the article. Rich argues, most parents should relax when it comes to their kids' screen time and phone usage. Let go of the illusion that you can enforce screen time limits or even measure screen time in today's media environments, he writes in his book. More importantly, let go of the guilt that you can't restrict your kids' time on screens. He could not be more wrong. I'll tell you how to restrict your kids' time from screens. You don't get to use screens as much. I solved it. I literally just solved all the problems of the entire planet. Here's a simple way to do it. Don't use your phone in front of your kid. Don't use your computer in front of your kid. Don't have a TV in front of your kid all the time. Don't give them access to a TV. Don't give them access to an iPad. Don't give them access to your phone. Here's how my wife and I do it. It's not that hard. So you have a living room where you spend most of your time in, right? Most people have a spot in their house where they spend most of their time in. Get rid of the TV. Whoa, I just solved everybody's problems. Okay. And you say, well, what about my phone? Bear with me here, okay? This is going to be pretty hard for you to understand. Take your phone, put it in a drawer, don't use it. What? Well, what about my kid's iPad? Throw it in the garbage can. I'm solving world hunger right now. Any other crazy things, crazy ideas? This is so remarkable to me because it's actually not that hard to live without screens. I understand. This is something that I probably thought about more than almost anybody on the planet. I have made videos about this topic for 2 or 3 years on my tech channel when I was posting on that, and I still, when I do post videos, I talk about it. It's like a thing this big thing that's here. It's like a pornography. It's like so big. Pornography is part of it. I think the screen time is the bigger issue in a way. So I've thought about this probably more than anybody. I've tested out the flip phones. I've tested out dumb phones. I've tested out every single possible thing you could do with a phone. I've made videos about all of them. I've used just an Apple Watch with cellular, which actually probably was one of the best ones. But at the end of the day, living without a smartphone makes your life immeasurably more difficult. Not that it's impossible, but it's so much more difficult that the cons of phone usage actually begin to be outweighed by the cons of not having a phone. In the last couple of years, everything has gone to QR codes where you scan it to pay for parking in the town that I live by. If I need to park into it, I have to use a smartphone. I can't just put change in. I have to use a smartphone. That's the only way to do it. So there are actually things that you lose out on, directions, these types of things where your life actually gets harder by not having a smartphone. But you have to learn to limit your smartphone usage because it will kill you and it will take your life away from you faster than you can even blink. So here's what I suggest to you if you disagree with everything I say. First of all, you're wrong. You just don't know how to think yet about this type of stuff, and that's fine. There's tons of things I don't know how to think about yet, but I have thought about this for probably the last 4 years, like really deeply, so I know how to think about this. Screens are not as important as you think they are. Raise your kids yourselves. Don't let somebody else on the internet raise them for you. That's the most important thing. You're letting your kids be raised by strangers on the internet. Not everybody is as morally incorruptible as me. I am, obviously, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not saying I'm perfect. If I was perfect, I'd have a hairline, but nobody can be perfect except for Jesus, so that's why God took away my my hair. That's a joke. But I truly believe it's not that hard. You have to yourself restrict your own screen time. That you have to suffer yourself. I'm not saying you can never use a screen. I get it for work. I use a screen for 8 hours a day. I have to. It's my job. Outside of work, though, your kid wants to play outside, go with them. Go play outside with them. Take them to a park. A kid wants nothing more than to run around with you outside and play with you. That's what they want to do. They don't want to sit in front of an iPad. They might like the iPad after you gave it to them, but kids naturally are inclined to run. They don't know what iPads exist. My kid won't know an iPad exists until she's 15. And everybody argues, well, your kid's going to be an outcast. Yeah, I know. She's an outcast now. She's 2.5 years old, and there are people in her life that have iPads, and we're like, yeah, like, can you just not play with that while she's around? I'm sorry, she can't play on that. Yeah, she's going to be an outcast. Her life will be better for it, though. She will live a better life because of it. All of my kids will. And I know it's a little bit awkward, a little bit uncomfortable, but you have to find people that think the same way you do. We have friends that think the exact same way we think. So when they have kids, their kids will be raised the same way our kids are raised. TVs, these things will suck your life away from you, and it'll be so fast you can't even think it's that quick. So this guy's wrong, and whatever these people, I think a lot of these big media type companies, it's like, don't stress about your kid's screen time. It's fine. Like, don't even worry about it. It's because they're making money off of you and them being on. That's like their future customer. They want people on their screen. These media companies want people on screens because that's how their information gets disseminated. All right, so. That'll probably get me canceled, I'm sure. Next, I have, this is a two-parter. So next is typically the comment section, but I'm going to wrap it in comment section plus a final little piece of the podcast. So my friend Tom from across the pond, he asked me a great question in the comments. If you have any questions, if you disagree with me or you're wrong, or if you agree with me or you're wrong, you can leave them in the comment section. But disagreeing with me is definitely wrong. So he asked a question. He said, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And where did you see yourself now 10 years ago? And this is such a great question. So I want to answer this. I'm going to answer this in a second, but I'm going to wrap it into another part. So I said 3 pieces of advice. I have 5. I kind of messed it up. The first piece of advice I would give my 20-year-old self. I'm 29 now, so we'll round it up to 20 years old. The first thing is learn more. Actually go out to look for more information. You're stupid. You don't know anything. And the older you get, the more stupid you realize you will be, even though you're increasing the amount of things that you know. It's a really weird inverse correlation. So the first thing is learn more. Read more books. Listen to more books. Just go out and learn more. Listen to people who disagree with you. Listen to people who agree with you. and learn more. Next, go to the gym consistently. Working out, being consistent, going to the gym is one of the most important things that you can do, and stretch. Make sure you're stretching at the gym. So go to the gym and stretch, because I am so crazy tight now. It's ridiculous. I'm 29 years old, and like I can't do anything because I'm just the tightest person you've ever met. I'm working on it, but I'm like, I can't do anything. Next is smile more. Life is too short to not be smiling. You've been given this gift of this body, and you should appreciate it. You've been given this gift of life, and you should appreciate it every single day you get to enjoy it. And I do enjoy it now. I wish back then I smiled more, because I was very cynical and I was a very angry person, and I wish I'd smiled more. Next is nobody cares about you. They're so focused on themselves. So if you're worried about doing X, Y, or Z, literally nobody cares. Nobody's going to stop you, because nobody's watching. Nobody's looking at you. Literally nobody cares. They're so focused on what people think of them that they're not focused on what you're doing. So everybody's saying the same thing. Like, what do people think of me right now? And nobody cares. And finally, authority figures are important, but they need to be challenged. The way I grew up is I was very like authority figures. I just, whatever, like you were the authority figure, you were right every single time. And as I've gotten older, I realized a lot of them were wrong. And I realized that I knew they were wrong back then, but I never had the guts to say anything about it. And I regret that. I do regret that in a way. I wish I would have said something back then, because I knew that they were wrong. And so authority figures need to be challenged, because their ideas need to be put to the test. Ideas always need to be put to the test, even though like I believe my ideas are good. You could put them to the test. I might argue back with you, but ideas do need to be tested, because that makes them better. So to answer Tom's question, where do I see myself in 10 years? The first one is I hope to be making videos that make my kids proud, and that make them proud to be my kid. The types of videos where when they're 25 years old, they're watching it with their fiance. They're laying on the couch and they're like, I want to watch some of my dad's old videos. I watched those when I was like, when I was like 13, 14, when I was a kid, and I want to watch them back because they made me really proud. And so I want them to show their friends, send them to their friends. I want my kids to be proud. I know that they're going to be a little embarrassed, but I want them to be proud ultimately as they get older about the videos that I made. And so in 10 years, I hope to be continue on that legacy, unless I feel like I said all I needed to say and I'm done, then I won't be making videos. But I love making videos, so I'll be making some type of videos about something. In 10 years, I hope to have more kids. I will be almost 40. I hope to have more kids. I hope that in the last 10 years with the podcast and my main YouTube channel, I hope that I had a positive impact on some people, and I actually made their lives measurably better. They can look back and think, if I never would have found Scott Schroeder, my life would never have gotten better. I feel the same way about Jesus Christ, and if I never would have found Jesus Christ, my life wouldn't be as good as it is now. And I'm not saying I'm Jesus Christ, but I'm trying to push people in that direction. So I hope that people through me will go to him and their lives will get better. It's not that it's just life gets better. Life actually gets harder when you're a Christian, but it's easier to live life when you are a Christian. I hope to be closer to God than I am now. I hope to have fitness as a large part of my life still. Fitness now, I work out every single day. And on my off days, I always just go for a walk with my family. So I hope that's still a huge part of my lives. I want to be very active with my kids. I want to be outrunning them. I want to outrun them and outdo everything with them for a very long time, as long as what's feasible. And I want them to obviously pass me, but I want to keep up with them as best I possibly can for as long as I possibly can. Because my dad, the other day, we ran in a race together. And he's significantly better running shape than me, and he pushed our kid's stroller. I thought that was the coolest thing. It's like he was the one pushing the stroller basically I think he actually did it the entire time. And it's like, that's amazing that he's in better shape than me. I might get lift more weight than him, but he could outrun the crap out of me, which I think is really awesome. Ideally, my career, it'd be cool to do this full time. If not, I hope I enjoy my career. I'm not like a big career guy. I kind of don't care as long as I make money and that puts food on the table. I'm not like really, not that I don't care about my job, but I show up, do my job, and I come home. The most important thing to me is my religion and my family. Those are the most important things. My job matters. I try to do well at my job. I think I do very good at my job. But at the end of the day, it's like I wasn't sent here to be really good at Excel. I am good at Excel, but I wasn't sent here to do that. I know I was sent here for more than that, because I think we all were sent for more than what we are currently doing. And I hope that I'm still a kid. I hope I still laugh so much. And I hope that I just joke around. I hope that I run around the house like an idiot and embarrass my kids like I try to now, although they think it's funny now. In 10 years, they're not going to think it's funny. But yeah, I mean, in 10 years, I used to have this goal of being a millionaire by 40. I think the way our money's invested, it might be close. I kind of don't care. Whatever. We had $1 million. That'd be great. The more money I can accumulate in this life, the more I can donate at the end of it and give to my kids for their lives. Ideally, the more money I can invest now, It's not for me to have this insane house. I really don't care. I have a wonderful house. It's really nice. It's not the most expensive house ever, but I love my house. And if I lived in this house for the rest of my life, I'd be happy. I have a car that I really love, and it's like a $3,000-$4,000 minivan. I don't need the nicest stuff. I really don't. I was talking about the microphone and everything I just use. I mean, these are really this is a really nice laptop. This is a really nice microphone. But like, I don't need brand new, nice, super nice stuff all the time. I just, the more money I can invest now, the more money I can give to my kids, so that way they can live a better life, hopefully. And also that they can give their grandkids and their grandkids and their grandkids, and just continue the cycle where a lot of that just comes from me. And I want to donate a ton. I want to donate to charities I really believe in, and I want to make a huge impact. I would love for a charity to try to name a building after me. That would be the coolest thing. I wouldn't accept it. I would name it after like a saint or something. But I think that would be super cool that they would even want to. That I could donate that much money. I think that would be awesome. And so where did I see myself 10 years ago? I thought I was going to be rich. I thought I was going to be running a business or in the finance niche. I thought I was going to be some type of like stockbroker type guy, some type of finance person. I was interviewing for those types of jobs. I served money. Money was the highest good when I was 19, 20 years old. That's all I really cared about. The more money I could get, the better. That's what I was trying to do. I thought I'd be single. I thought I'd have no kids. I thought that I would still be working out a lot. That's always been a big part of my life, and I ebb and flow. But back then I used to work out a ton, so I thought I'd be working out as much as I am now. And I thought I'd play more golf. I barely ever get to play golf. I used to love golf back then, and I still love golf, but with kids it's so tough. So that's where I thought I would be. And looking at it is, my life has had ups and downs. Everybody's life has, but I really believe that I'm one of the most blessed 29-year-olds to ever exist. I have had an amazingly blessed life. Yes, there are ups and downs. There are crappy things that happen to me, but I really have been blessed beyond measure. This has been a wonderful life that I've lived, and I am really looking forward to the next 40, 50 years, because it's been so great. And I know that the hard times have been hard, but it's like the hard times just make the good times better. Okay, so next is the quote of the day, and I heard this quote. This is not attributable to anybody. I just heard it. I read it somewhere on I think I was like looking up something for this video, and I came across this, and they said, "I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them." So it's like as a young father, I think about this a lot. When my kids go to bed, I live without kids for a little bit, for like an hour or two. My life continues on as normal without kids, and I go, dang. It's so annoying when they try to get into this closet that I open, or they try to open this fridge, or they try to do this, or they're crying or that, but then they're gone, and you go, I kind of miss that in a weird way. It's annoying at the time, but then they're gone, and you go, man, I kind of wish that they were here bugging the crap out of me. I think that as we get older, we have to realize that we are always in the good old times. You're always going to look back at your memories fondly, so just make the most of them. Like, make the most of the time you have now, because tomorrow's not a guarantee, obviously, but we live so much for ourselves now. I think everybody's so selfish. They live for me, 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 me. Living outside, not for you, is a really good way to live. And I really believe that you should be striving towards not living solely for you or solely for yourself. So these are the good old times. I wish we could know, okay, they are all the good old times. Having kids, growing a family, these are the best days of my life. My life has only ever gotten better. And I know that it'll only continue to get better. It's not going to peter off and go, oh, well, now that I'm 42, it's worse. No, it's just going to get better and better and better, because I'm going to live for others. And that's always going to make your life more full and better. So enjoy the moments of them bugging you, crying, being sad, being upset, being happy, all that stuff. Just enjoy those moments, because there's going to be a day where you don't get to experience those moments. You're going to miss those moments, even if right now they can be so crazy annoying. It might seem like it'll never end. And I felt like that with my oldest, but now she's 2.5, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, you were so tall. You just don't do these things that you used to do anymore. And I miss the fact that you don't do those. And that's crazy, because back then, all I wanted to do was stop. Life comes at you pretty quick. So these are the good old times. Just enjoy them. And finally, let's get to the unsolicited advice section. My unsolicited advice today is hold yourself accountable for your mistakes, because once you are an adult, no one else will, because no one else can punish you besides you. The thing that I've learned is you have to take ownership for your actions or inaction. So if you are somebody who did something wrong, you have to take ownership for it. Nobody wants you making excuses. Nobody cares. Even if you have a really valid excuse, it's always best to just say, yeah, I messed up. Yeah, these 12 things happened, and it actually was technically out of my control. But people will respect you so much more if you just say, yeah, you know what? This is 100% on me. I messed up. I dropped the ball here. I really let everybody down. I wasn't being a team player. I made the mistake. It's on me. Put the blame on my back, and I will carry the burden of it, even if it's not my fault. People will respect you far more than if you go, well, I did what I needed to do, but the system wasn't working, and because the system wasn't working, then I wasn't so it's not actually my I could have done it earlier, but it's not my. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And the same thing with inaction. So a perfect example is I have been really diving into the people who struggle with porn. I've been watching the videos that they watch. I read the comments that they're leaving, and it's so interesting. Hey, so this is Editor Scott, and the way this comes off makes it seem like I'm watching the videos that they're watching, the porn videos. That's not what I was watching. That's not what I meant by that. What I meant to say is the videos that they watch on YouTube to try to help them get out of their addiction, help them fight their addiction. That's what I meant. Sorry, that wasn't more clear. For one, they never give themselves a break. They never give themselves a break at all about suffering and making a mistake. They go, I fell into the despair of lust today. I fell into the trap of lust today. I made a mistake, or I watched porn again for the first time in a while, and I feel gross, and I shouldn't have done it. I don't know why I did it. And it's like, these people are so interesting to me because they're leaving comments, and I think that, to me, that's their way of holding themselves accountable, because being addicted to porn is an inherently embarrassing thing. That's one of the it's embarrassing. People don't want to talk about the fact that they're addicted to porn. Nobody does. But they put it on the internet because there's some anonymity to it, that they can put it out there. They are actually holding themselves accountable. And I think that, to me, reading those is so exciting because they're like, I'm looking for help and putting this out there because I know that what I'm doing is wrong. They need to hold themselves accountable, though, beyond that. You do it. There needs to be some type of punishment to yourself. My wife and I have talked about this a lot, where we say, well, what if we do this? And if we don't do this, we take away this. It's like, well, but are we going to take away that? Because we actually need to hold ourselves accountable to this thing, to this idea. Because if we don't hold ourselves accountable, we're not going to do this thing or this idea. And it's hard, like having deadlines, having rules. For me, my rule is I work out every single day. My rule is I post one video on Scott Schroeder every week. My rule is I post a podcast every single week. Holding yourself accountable to these rules is really great because, but you have to punish yourself if you don't. If you don't make a video, or you don't work out, or you don't eat right, sometimes the punishment will happen to you, but a lot of times you just have to punish yourself. Be like, I messed up. I can't do this now. Or I messed up. I'm not going to do that again. I promise I'm not going to do that again. Because if I do that again, then I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Or I'm going to do X, Y, and Z in order to not do that again. So I really believe that people just need to learn to hold themselves accountable. When you were a kid, your parents could hold you accountable, but you're not a kid anymore. You're an adult. This is your life. You need to hold yourself accountable, because if you just give in to these desires of lust and greed and this and any kind of sin, your life will get worse because of it. It will feel good for a moment. That's the trick the devil plays, is it actually does feel good in the moment. But the feeling after is despair, hopelessness. That's how he wants you to feel. He gives it a little hit of dopamine. You're giving into your base desire. And then after that, you feel you're here, and then you go, boom. However, in the moment, had you just determined not to do that, you would go up. And you always want to be moving up. Even if you feel down a little bit, you got to go up. But Satan's trick is that he convinces you to do the bad thing because it feels good in the moment. But then for the rest of the day, you'll feel like absolute garbage. You'll feel gross. You'll feel disgusting. You'll be mad at yourself. To hold yourself accountable, you have to. Your life matters to you. Does it matter to me? In like an ethereal sense, yes. I want people to do well. Does your life personally matter to me, though? Not really. I don't know who you are, but you know who you are, and I know who I am. So my life matters to me. I want my own success. You should care about yourself enough to want your own success. And I want your own success for you, because I believe we were put here to do more than what most of us are. Like, I think everybody is not living up to their full potential in a way. I think we're all here to do more. And so the idea is you have to start with the first step. In order to start doing more, you have to start with the first step. And that first step is holding yourself accountable. And I want to leave you with a little bit of a joke because I thought this was funny. So an atheist is hiking in the woods when he stumbles across a huge, hungry grizzly bear. The bear rears up to full height and gives a roar as it leans in towards the man. The atheist screams in terror, "Oh my God, help me." Suddenly, everything, the bear, the trees, the birds, everything but the man freezes. The man sees the clouds part as a deep heavenly voice reaches his ears. "So all your life you deny my existence, yet now you call for my aid, now that death is upon you. I am sorry, my son. It is too late." which is, that's not true, but I do think this is funny. The atheist thinks quickly, well, God, if it's too late for me to become a Christian, how about you just convert the bear? Time begins moving again. The bear immediately stops its roaring, kneels quietly and respectfully, and begins speaking. Oh Lord, bless this meal in which I'm about to partake. I think that's just kind of funny. That's it. That's the end of the podcast. I will see you guys next week in episode 13. This has been Scott with the Jerry Men podcast. I can't believe we've already done 12. This is crazy. I am really looking forward to episode 13. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.